man. Hey guys, how's it going? Chris Cohen here, and I hope you're excited for another Filmmaker React episode, the series where we take a look at awesome cinematics, and in part 1 I react to them, and in part 2 we dive in to have an awesome discussion about the filmmaking techniques used, as well as visual effects that we can pull from them and do in real life as well. Very awesome guys. Today, based on your recommendations, we're going to take a look at 2 trailers from the Star Wars Old Republic cinematic universe from the game series, and I'm really excited, and there are 2 more that we're going to take a look at another episode. And as many of you guys know that have been following me for a while, I'm a massive Star Wars fan. The only thing that I wanted to do when I was a kid and I saw the movies was to have a lightsaber around and be awesome. And I'm happy to let you guys know, if it's something that you were always interested in and something that you always wanted to do by yourselves, with a friends or anything, the channel has a ton of tutorials on Star Wars effects through the Star Wars VFX Academy series from Creatrix Visuals. Super awesome. You can do lightsabers, you can do force effects, and it's something that if you're always wanted to do but you didn't know how, it's an awesome place to do. So I'll have the link in the description guys, because when you couple it with the Star Wars film kit from the Creatrix store, you will have everything that you need to pull off the same effects that you guys have seen me having around. On top of that, I did make a Star Wars very short lightsaber battle film in the past. It's not the best thing that one can watch in terms of Star Wars, but it was really fun to make. I think the result is quite good based on what resources I had at the time, and I'll link that down below if you want to see kind of more of a live action lightsaber fight. Lastly guys, a bit of a disclaimer: I don't proclaim to be an absolute expert when it comes to filmmaking and visual effects. It is something that I'm very passionate about, and it's what my job is, working as a freelancer or commercial projects as well as novelty projects here on YouTube. And through the Creatrix Visuals tutorials, I want to teach out you guys in case it's something that you're interested in and you're going to get into, whether it is a career path that you want to follow or it's something that you just want to do for fun, because it's so cool guys. Okay, with that said, we're ready to dive in the first cinematic trailer and take it from there. So sit back, relax, let me guys know what your favorite part from the cinematics are, as well as any recommendations that you have about what the next episode should be about. That's it, let's dive right into this. Trailer number 1. Let's do this.
A man can have anything if he is willing to sacrifice.
Nice.
With your birth comes a solemn vow. You will have nothing.
Good voice. Aww.
Your privilege.
I like the white and black.
Is the dirt.
Nice. Aww, the bond. Lightsabers.
Darkness. Only ambition will guide you.
Sure.
The oaths you swear, the promises you make, they are yours alone.
Interesting. Here we go.
Your freedom will be the wars you wage.
So they're not Jedi.
Your birthright, the losses you suffer.
It's very interesting that the one with the white is Iffy. There we go.
Your entitlement, the pain you endure.
Oh.
And when darkness finds you, you will face it alone.
Epic. Yeah, I think that one is not doing great. Star Wars, man. That's a cool ship throne. Also, they're fighting both of them, both Jedi and Sith, so they're none of them. Interesting. Here we go. Yeah, boy. Dark side. Yeah. Hello, Papa. Nice. The dark side.
Come with me, son.
Knights of the Fallen Empire. That was awesome. Is there an after? No, that's it. Oh man. I can't wait to talk about it. There's so many awesome things. Man, it's so funny how these cinematics are just so full of awesomeness. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, they just grab you in the Star Wars universe and they just do not let go. So, that was number 1. Let's go to number 2 and then we'll have the analysis. Go. Nice transition, very smart. Nice. It's the same, it's when they were young, so she's watching the brothers. Very excited. Why is the mom so worried though? Trying to do the force push. What a noob. Not a noob. The whispers, I love that. I love whispers. Here we go.
Another. Fight.
Go, girl. Nice. Okay, so she's like tipsy when it comes to the dark side or something. Same bad guy? Or like... Yeah. That's not good. Oh, it was a vision. Or was it? It wasn't. Let's get the daughter back. Nice. Aww. Let them fight. Oh, 6 of them? Oh man. Let's go.
Behind me.
Where's the lightsaber, man? Come on. This is just nice. It's not even like. Molto bene.
Belen, come on.
This is too far gone. Oh, that was creepy. Everyone's dead. Are they all stormtroopers? No, that was a lightsaber. I mean, yeah. This reminds me of Sephiroth. Nice. Knights of the Eternal Throne. Does it have anything? No. Awesome. Man, that was a blast. How... Oh. I don't know what to say, honestly. I'm just shocked by the amazing talent that goes into these things and how sometimes, not to bash anyone, I'm sure they all work super hard and they have so many things they have to balance in order to make the movies. But some of the cinematic Star Wars game trailers, the lightsaber fights, have been so far more enticing and grabbing and so much more awesome, for lack of better words, than the movie fight scenes, which to me it's kind of crazy because of course a movie needs to be based on the story and the characters, but as a fan of Star Wars myself, a lightsaber fight is at its core as well, like having that one amazing lightsaber fight in a movie, you know what I mean? And unfortunately the past movies have not have that great of lightsaber fight scenes in them. Anyways, kind of going all over the place. Both of those cinematics have been amazing. I can't wait to dive right into them. So let's do this with going back to number 1 trailer and going step by step and see how it was made and talk about the visuals.
A man
So, very interesting.
can have anything if he is willing to sacrifice.
So, thing number 1, it's when you have a very short time to tell a very long story, or you fear that if you take the story through a natural progression of time and you don't have time jumps, it's always a nice technique to start with the future and then take them back. Not sometimes, that's overused, especially in movies, I think. Like sometimes I don't mind the build up, but it's always cool to show something awesome at the beginning of something to grab the attention and have them wait for it, and then they're not gonna skip it out, wait as the story goes through its progression. For example, YouTubers actually have caught up to this, and including myself, and they use it all the time. When at the beginning of the clip, they saw that awesome reaction or like that awesome thing that happens throughout the clip, and they just cut on the right moment, and then the natural time of the story or the video itself starts. That happens because they want to grab the audience's attention and have them wait for something awesome to happen. So now they used it here to show us the conflict and then jump back to our original timeline. And it's interesting because I've noticed this used a lot. If we go frame by frame here, they actually use the same framing composition to jump between the two timelines, and it's an awesome technique to use. If you guys watched my reaction on Cyberpunk 2077, they did the exact same thing with the hand, where they had the flashback of why, so the character had a bloody hand, and in the flashback we would see why his hand was bloody and the item, and then cutting to the real life, they used the same framing of the hand as he was washing the blood in the faucet, which was super awesome. So here they did the exact same thing. So you can see how they use similar techniques throughout the industry. So here we have our main guy, and as we go through and the other guy, the son, is about to cut him down, we cut perfectly in the composition with the guy being younger, and we are transferred in the past to see what took place to get us to that action scene.
With your birth comes a solemn vow.
So here, interesting, because we have a cinematic trailer and it gives us so much information through time. We have a narration, but it's almost as if the father figure is talking to the children, and we just see through his talk the progression of time until we get to real time.
You will have nothing. Your privilege is the dirt.
So that was cool. I mean, obviously it's Star Wars, so visual effects are everywhere. But here, this is relatively easy to do in real life with After Effects. Basically, you will need to shoot somewhere with a sky, whether it is a meadow field or anything like that. And what you would do then is you would track the scene and then do a sky replacement effect, where you will turn the sky, because usually you can't wait for the weather to be perfect, right? So you would turn the sky and you would put the cool clouds and the coloring, and then you would compose in the planets here. Now it's very interesting because in real life, a camera or even our eyes will not be able to see the stars and the sunset at the same time. But with visual effects, you can pull it off, and we have a beautiful transition between the sunset, the clouds, and the stars on top.
The dirt.
And then we've talked about this quite a few times, but notice where they make cuts. If I go frame by frame, do you see the hit happens and then they change to when he gets hit in the face? It's always good to cut on action, guys, especially on fight scenes. Bam! Nice. I love this actually because when at earlier projects I always had a bit of a tricky time with timing and when to cut and progress the story through cuts, and it's always interesting to me to watch this because it goes so fast. It doesn't actually show us the whole progression of the movement. Like, he hit him and in the next frame he's already down, ready to do the force push effect, which is awesome. And we don't actually see the character fly through space. They cut very quickly, but it's very, very well made. And it just... nice. Like he just cleaned through everyone. I love the composition, by the way, how we are over the shoulder of the father figure and we look down on them, on the kids. Nice. So they're twins. I love, if you guys noticed, how purposeful even the clothing that they wear are. One of the kids wears white and one of the other kids wears black. But the cool thing in the story is that the one with the white turns evil, and even the father figure has white on him. And actually this is something that I've noticed a lot in sci-fi films. White is portrayed as evil in movies and black is portrayed as good, which is an awesome twist, which I'm not sure when it originated, but if you watch sci-fi from the Hunger Games, for example, when the main villains have white, or in almost every sci-fi film, or Oblivion, or like, oh, what was the other one? The one with Matt Damon. When everything is very rich and like high class, they all wear white, but usually the main character wears white and they're bad, which is super interesting. And then there's scrawny guy that just tries to make it and tries to make a change. It's dressed in more black, dark outfits, which is awesome. Making the lightsaber, oh man, how cool is this? The crystal.
In the darkness.
Okay. Lightsaber effects. As I told you guys, I love lightsabers. It was something I worked really hard on to perfect the technique and make it look like the movies, and based on your guys' comments, even better actually. Here's the tricky thing with lightsaber effects. If it was real, the blade itself would cast light on you, and you can see it in the recent movies where they actually did that. They have the blade casting real light on the actors and reflecting on the eye as well as the surroundings. Now this is obviously CGI, so they don't have any issues with that. The lightsabers that I do, because I make my lightsabers myself, I use a stick to be the lightsaber blade so it can be hit on the fight scenes and do not worry if it's gonna break. So it needs to be very sturdy, but of course, because it's DIY and I don't have a huge studio, it doesn't emit light because there's no light. Now there are many companies out there that make lightsaber hilts with actual blades that light up, and they are made for fight as well. I haven't had access to one of those, but the trick with those are they're usually very thick. I don't like the lightsaber being very fat, if that makes any sense. I like it be a bit more tempered in because it makes it more aggressive, I think. And the cool trick is, if you guys see, it's very subtle, but this is a very good trick to pull off with lightsabers. You have to make the blade flicker, as if the laser beam is not perfectly constant, but it flickers and it creates this vibration of light. And if you look very closely, it does that here as well. Look, do you see how it almost pulsates? Now for me, the more you pulsate the light, the more aggressive the light becomes, and combine that with the lightsaber sound, it makes it way more engaging. So some things to keep in mind. Love the composition here, how the kids are in the center with the lightsaber being the only light source. I like, again, through the story, through the training, we are introduced that the child in black is way more competent than the child in white, which is interesting based on how things turned out at the end.
The oaths you swear, the promises you make.
Through the story and the only actual exposition and in terms of dialogue, it comes from the dad. The all other story elements we get from the expression of the characters' faces.
Your birth.
I've actually done the hologram effect. It's very cool. Basically how you do the hologram effect is you film your actor in front of either a green screen or a blue screen, so you can later just subtract all the green and just have a layer with just the actor. And then what you do, if you notice here guys, I'm not sure how well you can tell, you basically put banding lines as if it was a CRT TV. You drop the opacity down so the layer is transparent, so we can see through them as a hologram would be, and then you apply a very bluish tint usually to the hologram, and lastly you split the RGB colors. If you look here guys on his shoulder, the RGB layers are split and we have kind of a separation of the layers, and when you combine all of those effects together you have a very awesome hologram.
The losses you suffer.
A bit of distortion would be cool as well, just to distort the whole thing. So our young brother gets very angry. Again, focus on the composition, guys. We have a perfect composition between the rule of thirds. If you segment your frame in thirds, we have one character 1/3 and the other one on the other one, and the center in between is empty. And again, it's very cool to see the contrast between the black and the white, even though their faces are almost identical. Very quickly, guys, in terms of the force push effect, it's more about sound and what environmental impact you can do. Like, if you got something there and you put, even though again this is CGI, we're talking about how to do this in real life. If you put a fishing line and you have something and then you pull it away very violently, it's very easy to mask it in After Effects and hide the string. And then when you compose dust assets, like here, combining with the perfect timing of the actor pulling off the force hit and the other guys pulling the strings, you can pull those things off. Planet scene. Nice.
Your entitlement. The pain you endure.
So he lost an arm, they're putting them a prosthetic, and also half of his face is now burned, which is very interesting, and we're gonna put half a mask on them. It's funny how through the use of the hands, they showcase the connection of the brothers, whether they were very young in the arena. The brother in black always does this to the younger brother. He always reaches his hand out to help the brother in white, which is very interesting. I love this scene, even though I have to say, I'm a bit curious as to why the lightsaber does not eat through the dirt when it's touching the dirt. Very quick, like I would expect to have at least some smoke emitting from the dirt that's touching the lightsaber, I would say. Anyways, very awesome scene. Ooh, revenge, because I'm guessing the Sith character is the one that cut his arm off, because in the last fight that we saw, she was the leader. So now it's the tables have turned, and the guy is gonna. I love how they show the lightsaber reflecting in the eyes and her eyes widening as the lightsaber cuts in.
And when darkness finds you, you will face it.
Amazing. Sometimes you can use LEDs actually if it's a very good scene. Like I said, I don't use the lightsabers that emit light, but I don't think it's something that you can make work basically. It's not absolutely essential. I don't think the audience is gonna go completely, oh my god, the lightsaber does not emit light, I'm not watching this. But in very key scenes like this one, if you were to replicate this exact scene, you could use an LED panel like one that you can see having an edge light on me, and then using color gels, you can select the color. Let's say if you have a blue lightsaber, you would put blue, like this one. And once you do this in key scenes like this one, you can actually have the LED light, the actor based on the lightsaber color. And that way, your key scenes are gonna be spot on. I don't know if you guys seen The Mandalorian. In it, they've used this amazing new technique, which is basically using the game engine, Unreal Engine, to render the backgrounds in a massive screen place, and they can do real life adjustments in the backgrounds because it's a game engine, and it's just amazing, that new technique. So At first, I did not know this. I couldn't tell if they were Jedi, if they were good or bad. But as it turns out, they're none of that, because they kill Jedi and Sith alike, and they bring the lightsabers to their father, which is very interesting to see. So they're their own thing, and I love how their theme is kind of gold and other things. Amazing composition. Look how the father figure, how they tell us that he's in so much control, because they have the camera tilted downwards and we look up to them, and it's as if we have a brother here on that edge, we have the brother here, and us is as if we're standing behind the brothers, looking on top of him as well, and we can sense his presence and his authority because of how the camera is placed and the music and everything. So again, he doesn't care. The brother had enough. And now we're gonna jump into the original scene as the trailer started, and we're gonna see how it plays out. The dark side. Eye effects. I've done so many eye effects. I haven't actually done the Sith transition, but if you guys see the Tokyo Ghoul trailer or the more recent Naruto, Rinnegan and Sharingan eyes, the technique is pretty much identical. You just have to mask it and transition the color shifting of the eye. Really cool, really awesome. Slow motion. See, that's how you use slow motion, right? Okay, this is very subtle, but I want you to focus on how they showcase the force effect. Not always do you always have to do your visual effects to take them overboard. Sometimes subtly takes it even further than just have particles flying around and awesome things. Now, if you guys look here, I need to play it in real life for you to see, but there is a bit of distortion happening through the hand, and that's how they show the force visually. I've done the same thing in the force levitation effect, where the lightsaber kind of is suspended in mid-air, and I'm just using the force to make it happen, and having that turbulent transition within After Effects is how you can pull that off. Super cool. Man. All the lightsaber effect can happen in After Effects. His eye turns back, and we have the death of the brother. Man, the music is spot on. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed this. This theme of the brother's hand has been constant throughout this video clip, from the beginning where they were training as children in the arena to when they were in the battlefield and the brother was wounded. Now, here's what's happening here story-wise, guys. The brother is killed and the hand bond is severed out basically because it's gone. And they show us visually by shifting the perspective of the hands. Before it was always the brother in black reaching out to the brother in white and holding him. Now the brother in white holds the brother in black as his hand falls out of him, and narratively that tells us that the bond is done, the brother is gone, the brother in white is now completely turned, if that makes any sense, because he killed his brother. And also, by having the hands being shifted in opposite directions and them going away, it's a very awesome visual to kind of showcase that. Now, it's very interesting because if you take a look at the actual scenes, the brother holds him like this, so technically this scene as is cannot actually take place because the brother in black would have to be standing over a bridge basically, and the brother in white trying to hold him before he falls over in order to have this perspective and this much room between the hands. Because if I scroll through, we go through, look how much space there is. It's as if he's falling, right? But in the next scene, look how much his hand falls. Come on. But in the next scene, he's right here, right? So it doesn't make any sense in terms of space, but we're gonna give them a pass on that one because storytelling-wise, it was an amazing scene. And see, that tells you you don't always have to do everything realistic. You have so much leeway when it comes to filmmaking and how you want to visually showcase something, even though it wouldn't be really possible. So the brother is gone. I want you to focus on another thing here. Look where the camera is placed. We're on top of the shoulder. He's in control. He's seeing his brother dying, and we're looking at the perspective over his shoulder. Look how they move the camera through space to transition it to the father figure. So we go from a perspective of, let's say, control, because we're looking down on the brother that's dying. Then they're shifting our point of view to be lower and looking the father figure from a lower perspective again, which again, this is sometimes called the hero shot, but obviously in this case, he's a bad guy. So it's more about shifting the camera low so that we can look up to someone. Because you remember when you were younger and someone was taller than you, how you would look up to them and feel intimidation? It's kind of the same way here, basically showcasing power, control, authority, things like that. And the way they shifted the camera was really clever.
Come with me,
The new hand. Son. Love it. Let's go now to trailer number 2 and dive into that one. There's so many things to talk about, man. Again, same thing. They start with the action that's happening technically now, and through the action, they will move us back in time to see the progression of the characters. Again, if you notice, they did the exact same thing. Probably it's made from the exact same studio, not even from the same director even. They used the face to transition between real time to the past. There. So basically from the perspective of a little girl seeing his master or mom, we don't know, we transition to the past. So everything is very colorful, very happy, sunshine. Again, this effect would be really easy to pull off. Actually, sometimes you can use the sky, because the sky is blue, as a blue screen. And then, by using it as a blue screen, you can tell After Effects to map out all the trees and the leaves, and then you would be able to composite clouds or even the planets and have them being obscured by the leaves, because you would use the sky, as a blue screen basically. Very awesome techniques. I've actually used it to compose in a very big smoke asset in one of my music videos for Black Path, and this is how I used it to have my character be in front of the smoke, even though we didn't use a green screen. Very clever trick, guys. So let's go back and talk about the visual effect of having something suspended mid-air and the character kind of. So the way that you would do this is you would film your actor manipulating something, obviously not there, and then using the exact light setup, so the shadows, the lighting, the color is exact, you would put that physical asset, let's say the animal here, in front of a green screen, and by manipulating the strings you would have it rotate. Then you would key out the green screen, obviously, and then you compose everything with the two clips together. Because the light conditions are going to be exactly identical and even filmed on the same space if it's possible, then those two things combined would be in perfect harmony in terms of color, perspective, things like that, and that's how you would pull this effect. I love this. They connect us to the previous trailer from the perspective of the girl, that she was always there and she would look at the young brothers training together when we watched the first trailer. That was really smart. So she's very excited. Training. That was me basically when I watched Star Wars, to be fair. Come on. you did the same. So we are told here that she is actually powerful and she does have the force, but by using negative emotions, that force comes out. And we can hear whispers as well. Very awesome scene. Have to use a drone for that one. Have to use a drone. And the leaves would be to be composed in using visual effects. But man, how cool is that? So now we go up to her training session here. And again, with no dialogue this time. I don't know if you noticed, guys. In the first trailer, we had the dialogue of the father figure. Here, there is no dialogue. It's all through emotions and visual storytelling. Another. Very Spartan of them. So she's training, but she's not allowed to use the force. And she's like, F it, I'm gonna do it anyways. This is one of my favorite scenes, guys. How the wood breaks up into brittles as he's using the force. Man, this would need 3D, 3ds Max, Cinema 4D, whatever it's gonna be, in order to make something like this happen. Unfortunately, you cannot do this with After Effects, but how epic is it? This you can actually technically do within After Effects, because the plane of the camera moving is mostly a slider, and if you have your actor standing still on top of something, you can key them out, or if they are in front of the green screen, and then slightly animate them rising, and by using debris assets as well as dust elements, and of course with the use of music, you can have them levitate. And now the father figure of the boys has seen it and she's like, come to me, my child. This is a cool thing because it shows us the passage of time very quickly and the transition of how the character of the girl is getting turned. And it's very cool to see those figures in the back where we can't see any face or anything. We have somewhat candles. And they go out and then transitioning between dark and light. And they just turn here apparently. And you see how they... I'm actually curious as to why they did not keep a very static rotation of the camera in the room and then having decisions change. But what they did instead is when the camera passes over the shoulder of a character in the background performing the ritual, whatever this is, that's when they transition to the next scene. That's interesting. And the girl goes from a state of distress to a state of control. So, cool. And now she's like a master of like, whatever this is. So she had a vision, and she's like, I'm gonna get her back. So we transition. Remember how in the opening, in the past, everything was sunny with sun rays and everything looked like super nice and vibrant and warm. Now we transition to darkness, rain, and yeah. Coming down, going in. It's very interesting to see in the first trailer they used the bond of the brothers as the element that kept the character from going completely bananas. And here we're seeing that wood animal sculpture that they made when she was a child be a prominent element to show the character getting completely done. Because if you remember, by the end of it will just be in dirt when she massacred everyone. So it goes through this. Okay. Study time. This is an excellent showcase of how to build momentum and go into a fight scene. This fight scene has so many things going for it. Man. Close up of the saber. I love the if this was real life drone shot and how Their lightsabers do not all come up, but with the sun it goes. So cool. When it comes to sound design, when you're closer to a subject, that's where when you amplify the sound. I did the same thing in the short lightsaber fight short film, Duel of the Force. When the saber was closer to the camera, I amplified the sound effects, where if it was further away, it didn't matter as much. And that way you just ignite the power of the weapon more, the closer it is to the lens.
Stay behind me.
This is all one shot, if I remember correctly. Again, this is CGI, yes. They tried to do a one-shot thing to the throne room with Snoke as well. But here, notice how they cut all the music. All the music is gone. We just have natural occurring sounds. The sabers, the footsteps, the wind. And it just goes through all of them in one go. And she actually doesn't use her lightsaber as much. She punches, she throws the lightsaber, brings it back, stabs the guys. Let's just watch it because it's just epic. Bam! Man, how epic was that? So, throughout the short cinematic, they use kind of a stable, flowing camera movement. I talked about this in the Cyberpunk trailer as well. When it goes into the fight scene, even though it's one take, the camera switches to a more free-flow hand movement, even though this is not made. If we were to replicate this, we would not use a hand. The best way to do this kind of would be to use a stabilizer, but the one with the weights, not the 3-axis motorized one that makes the movement extremely flowy. And the reason you do this is because when the fight scene happens, it's very helpful to have a dynamic camera momentum movement happening. Now, keep in mind, this is not shaky cam. The camera does not go all over the place and we can't tell that what's going on. It's full of motion blur and nothing can be tell. But they put the perfect amount of handheld movement to emphasize the dynamic of the fight scene and amp up the impact of the fight. Something that I feel was greatly missing from my Star Wars short lightsaber fight scene. It was too flowy, the camera was too perfectly flying through space, and it was missing this dynamic movement. So awesome. The jump here. Man, freaking amazing. We have the disconnect between the characters. It would be interesting if there was a bit more light in this section and complete darkness in that one. Because they could have showcased this, you know how the ship is approaching for the back? They could have had, if we go back, they could have had the ship lights illuminate her side. That would have been cool. So she's like, no, I don't care, I'm part of them now. And now the very sad music pumps in to make everything really sad and tragic. So she's part of them now. Cool. And now we cut here. Now, this is a very awesome scene. They use the lightsaber light emitting thing to illuminate the scene and nothing else. How awesome is that? I tried to cheat, actually. I did a very short clip for a promo 1 year, and I tried to replicate the look as if the lightsaber was emitting the light in the scene, where in reality I just had the LED, and between scenes I would switch the position of the LED to where the lightsaber would be. For example, for the initial scene of the ignition, the lightsaber would be here, so I would have the LED illuminating me here. And then I turned everything to blue or based on whatever color I wanted to choose for the lightsaber. Then when I did the move to show the water reflections and everything, I switched the LED to be lower, as if the lightsaber was illuminating me. Now, this was only possible because it was shot in a studio environment and I could cut between the shots and reposition the LED. If this was a dynamic camera movement and things like that, or the lightsaber would move more abruptly, I wouldn't be able to do that. But very awesome to see it here done properly. This is called the bird's eye view, basically the drone shot as if we're looking at the character and when they are. This is a great kind of chess view of what's happening, where the character is positioned, the terrain between them, and where other characters are in relation to them. This is a very cool kind of shot to get. And here she sees that animal carved wood thing, so she knows she's here. Lightning can be done within After Effects. Now the fire thing, I've done a tutorial on, this is what it reminded me, you know how Sephiroth in FF7 is between fire? I've done a tutorial that was called Sephiroth's Fire Blaze, but it already starts with the character being between flames. But you can do it. Green screen, really. Nice. We have some particles. They've also incorporated a lot of elements as if the lens has dirt, and when the light goes through, we have those elements shine through. Spot freaking on. It's no wonder why Star Wars is such an enticing subject and kind of universe when it comes to the fan base. It's very unfortunate that they haven't been able to hit the mark when it comes to the new movies. Hopefully with what comes next they'll be able to shift the plane, because again, like, those cinematics done for video games are just so thrilling and awesome and capture the essence of a very tragic, epic universe, if that makes any sense. Love it, can't wait to react to the next ones. I hope you guys enjoyed the reaction and analysis. Stay tuned for the later episodes, and of course let me know what your favorite part was, as well as your recommendations. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Until then, stay creative.